Hello, this is Maria from visasinportugal.com, today with another video for you. Because you asked for, today we are going to discuss the traps when buying property in Portugal. Regardless if you are a foreigner or a citizen of Portugal, this is what you need to be aware of. If this is information you love, hit subscribe, say you love it, and we go from there. Because you asked for, I've got your back, let's go. So, what are the traps you need to be aware of when buying property in Portugal? Well, let's start from the beginning. When you decide you want to buy property in Portugal, normally you go search online, right? You search online and you go to websites like Idealista, Imovirtual, and things like that. When you find the property you love, at the end you find the real estate agent, you contact the real estate agent and he starts working with you. Not for you. Most of our clients say, oh, my real estate agent, he's not your real estate agent. He's the real estate agent of the property. And there you have a bias because he only gets paid when that property is purchased. So imagine you're spending weeks contacting him or her, speaking about the property, doing visits. That real estate agent is always going to tell you that the property is marvelous. There's no legal problems. There's nothing with the property. Well, they don't know because they are not, they don't have legitimacy to search for legal problems in the property, to inspect if the property is up to code or not, to check with the city hall if that property has all the requirements to be sold or to even exist. If you go from there. So the real estate agent is biased. Why? Because he only gets paid when he receives his commission. Who's going to pay them the commission? The property owner, the one that asked him to sell the property. And his commission goes from 3% to 5%, but mostly 5% plus VAT. So that's a big commission, isn't it? Therefore, he doesn't want to work for free. He will want to sell that property. So what you should be aware of. Okay, let's be creative. Imagine I'm an owner of a property and I have this big balcony and I say, look, in order for me to enjoy it all year, I'm going to cover half and do like a winter garden in my property, but I don't want to ask permission to the city hall. But this is outside of the property, in the balcony. Remember, you have to ask permission for the city hall to let them know if you can or cannot do that change in the property, okay? Years later, the city hall comes and says, hey, you build that winter terrace, winter garden in your balcony. I don't allow it. You need to demolish. And instead of demolish, you say, look, this has brought value to my property. I don't want to demolish because I spend money. I don't care about this property anymore. I'm going to sell it, but I will say nothing to the real estate agent. I will say nothing to the buyer. Therefore, you are buying a problem. When you buy, you are buying a problem because the city hall, the first thing is going to tell you is, look, demolish that. And I'm talking about a simple thing in a terrace or a balcony, but it can be an extra bedroom. Because, oh, that terrace is so big, I need another bedroom. Let me build a bedroom there. I'm going to build a bedroom. You have to cut it. Backyards. Sometimes they do in-laws apartments in the backyard. They are not up to code. They need to be demolished. Changes in the structure of the apartment or the house, if they are not up to code, they need to be demolished. So you need to be aware if you are buying a problem or not. That's why due diligence before you bought the property is very important. If you say, Maria, but I don't want to lose the property, what can I do? You can sign a CPCV, but be sure that in one of the clauses it says that you are going to do your due diligence, and if you find something that is not up to code, they need to refund you the money of the deposit that you paid. Okay? What due diligence you need to do? Well, you have companies in Portugal that do inspections. That's an expense from you, not from the buyer. He's not obliged to do any inspection on the property. It's money you are going to lose in case you don't want to buy the property, but I would do it anyway. So when you decide you want to purchase that property, ask for an inspection. You need permission from the seller. Ask for all the documents of the property. Hire an attorney. Here in Visas in Portugal, that's what we do. We have attorneys that do this. Check all the documents. Is there a lien in the property? Is there a divorce pending on that property? Is that property subject to an inheritance? Is there a person that the seller owns money to, that grab the property, has a lien, has any legal problems with the property. Then what do we do at visasinportugal.com? We have meetings with the architects of the city hall to check if the property is up to code, if all the rooms, all the backyards, the balconies, everything is up to code, the rooftop, everything. Is the property okay to be sold without any issue to be raised, okay? What do we provide at visasinportugal.com? We provide a statement by our owner that says, yes, you can buy this property, everything is up to code. And this is really important because you don't want to buy a problem, okay? Now, if you say, Maria, can I ask the seller to divide this expense with me? The property inspection, you can ask him to have that expense. Maybe he will accept because it's something that he will use if he's sure that the property is clean. It's something he can use later on to sell to somebody else. But normally they don't comply with this expense. They say the property is as it is. This is the price. Why? Because he has to pay the real estate agent, and that's 5% plus VAT. It's a lot of money. So he doesn't want to have any other extra expenses, right? So you need to comply with all of that. When you do the completion deed, you can ask to the notary to put those documents in the property sale as well. Something really important. Imagine you buying a property and you want to do short-term rental. There's something in Portugal called AL license, which is short-term for licensing. And when you buy a property, I'm sure you have heard about it, that in Portugal, the municipalities are reducing these licenses because of short habitation, right? And you say, Maria, I'm going to buy that property. It already works as a short-term rental, but when I buy it, that license is not going to be in my name and the city hall is not going to provide a new one. What can I do? Easy. When you buy a property, ask, this is really important, ask the public notary or the private notary to write in the deed, this property has an AL license and that license is going to be to the new owners. So then with that document, you can go to the municipality and ask them to change the name in that license. This is really, really, really important. So again, if you are searching to buy a property in Portugal, this is something you want to do. Hire visasinportugal.com or hire an attorney of your choice. But do all your due diligence, do an inspection to the property, make sure everything is up to code, and check everything. If there's mold, you can, when you go check a property, you can say, hey, I love this property. When was it last painted? Because that tells you a lot. When was it last painted inside? When was it last painted outside? Because then you know, oh, it was last painted 10 years ago. Oh, and it looks amazing. Excellent. I'm sure there's no problems. Oh, it was painted last month. What was happening behind those walls? You know what I mean? Be suspicious of everything. Okay, if you have questions, if I didn't answer all of them, put them in the comments. I'll do another video for you. You know, on Mondays I do questions about these videos, so let me know what you need. Send me emails. Check visasinportugal.com and ask your questions. I'm here for you, okay? Bye.